Back with another episode of Double Barrel Shotgun with your host Eve and B. We're here kind of pre-Super Bowl edition. We have our final two in the Super Bowl: the Carolina Panthers versus the Denver Broncos. What do you think? But I think as we move into that, we'll break it down a little bit of who you like in the game. But just to start off, we'll just quickly go into the topic du jour. Cam Newton discussion about Cam Newton, how he is viewed, perceptions of Cam Newton, how he's viewed within the league and by the general fan base, and generally with the media and the public. And I think in a lot of it seems like some people believe it's kind of going across racial lines. Some people feel it's a generational thing. Cam came out and mentioned his point, pretty much said, "Yeah, I'm an African American quarterback," and folks in this case are a little scared of what I'm about in this case. So. I never seen anything quite like him, I think he said, paraphrasing it. Now, truthfully, in this case, yeah, we've never seen anything quite like Cam Newton before. So it has the power, speed, arm strength, the whole nine. To see something like that, we've seen some elements of it in other quarterbacks, but to have the whole package in one, yeah, it's something that we've never really seen in that sense before. But what are your thoughts on this whole thing, man? Is there anything to it? Is there something to it? Is there nothing to it? Where you stand in the spectrum of it?
If somebody tells me right up front that there is nothing to it, you're foolish. I'm sorry. I think that you're foolish. Cam Newton has been that quarterback that everybody says, I just don't like him for some reason.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers can do the discount double check, which has made him additional millions of dollars in revenue. All right? Cam Newton runs into the end zone, does a little dance. He gets letters from a mother who says that she'd rather watch cheerleaders because seeing Cam Newton do that thing is an embarrassment to the sport. Need I say more? Cam Newton is, I'll be up front because Brian and I have always had this discussion. I always said I have to wait until I have to give a couple of years to see Cam Newton, but I wasn't the most thrilled. I mean, he was a big winner in college. There's no doubt about that. He did his thing. But to hear people now try to say things about Newton, and for what he said, it's truth. I'm sorry. It is very true what he said. But as you and I spoke off here, Bomani Jones says he's that blackety black. And if you know what that means, he's the black man that scares the heck out of everybody because he's abrasive. I don't think he's rude. I think he's a very well-spoken young man. He's very confident in his abilities. He knows what his abilities are. He is a different type of quarterback. Is he a different type of quarterback in terms of size-wise? Different, for sure. Running-wise? Different. Performance-wise? Different. He doesn't have to throw the ball 50, 60 times in a game to be effective. And that's what makes him in. But what scares the whole league, and what scares people, is he doesn't fit the paradigm of what they feel a quarterback in the traditional NFL should be. So anybody who says that it is not a race thing, right.
Well, here's my thing. I think, I definitely hear your points. I agree with a lot of your points, but I think one of the things there's always been a particular type of black athlete that is never seen or looked upon in any sort of a welcoming manner. And that is sort of for the self-confident, brash type,
But is he being brash, though?
Well, that's my point. I don't even think, in this case here, this is where I'm coming to. I don't even think he's as brash people want him to believe he's that brash. Right. I think folks in this case are trying to push him towards, in this case, a brash he really doesn't have. Now, does he enjoy the game? Yeah.
Most
definitely. Does he celebrate too much? He might. I say that. Okay. I mean, if someone said that, I can understand that. But to your point, the beginning kind of set this whole thing off is when you can't find a rationale about why you don't like him, that sends off my rabbit ears in this case. Right. Because trust me, if I don't like somebody in this case, I tell you straight why I don't like them in this case, whatever the case may be. Wherever be a celebrity, athlete, whatever the case may be, it's doesn't if they rub me the wrong way. But when you just can't come up with a reason, I don't know why is the case.
He just smiles too much. Looks so disingenuous.
Right.
He looks fraudulent.
Yeah, like it's all this other stuff, right? I mean, it was all the whisper campaigns going on before the draft and stuff about him, stuff like that.
Don't even get me started.
It was, that stuff was getting ugly. Warren Moon, the kind of talk up and stuff like that. It's all this other stuff, and I didn't even throw the media in this mix. I don't even care. I mean, about how the media in this case, I guess, and even Bomani brought this up, because Cam was a little. He was, he made some comments, I guess, after his rookie season about, being compared to Vince Young and some of these other guys.
Yeah, man. He said them guys didn't work hard enough.
Right, he didn't work hard enough. And you know what? In some ways, he's probably right about that. But the other side of it,
I said that about Vince Young.
Right. The other side of the coin is you got to be careful. In this case, I guess the point that Bomani's making is that, before you start turning daggers on them dudes, in this case, you be wary because they're going to turn the daggers on you when things don't go right.
That's what they did after the second season.
Right. So I think, second or third season we had a little bit of a dip, and I think that's the thing. I think my issue's always been with Cam, and to some extent with most black quarterbacks in this case, there's no safety valve or no chance of letting a player grow.
Right.
It's either like he's either he's superhuman
right away and be consistent every time,
right.
And with a chance that everybody has a down year, but when the guy when he has a bad year, people want to throw him out of the bus.
Right.
They want to get rid of him.
And that's been my issue all along, right? It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's like either he's got to be superhuman, and if he's playing really well, it's like, oh my gosh, he's superhuman, and this and that, and that's a whole nother mindset about why these athletes are like superhuman, black athletes. But then when it's all said and done, it's when things don't go well in this case, it's like, well, it's all his fault in this case. But when it's a white quarterback, it's every excuse from the coaching, the O-line, the GM with the drafting. It's all these other things that come up. But when it's the black quarterback, it's just him.
It's just him. It's all him.
Right.
It's all him.
It's all him. Right.
Yeah, it's been proven. It's been unfortunate.
So
it's an unfortunate part of the league.
That's the thing that just always has driven me crazy when it comes to this mindset from the media standpoint.
That still doesn't take away that I think Robert Griffin still sucks, but that's
right. But fair enough, you can think that's the case, but all I'm saying is like when you make the case in this case that RG3 sucks, let's put everything in context, right? But don't come back to me when Kirk Cousins is struggling at first and say like, well, it's this, it's that, it's the next thing. When those excuses can be given to said Exhibit A in this case for RG3 as well too. That's my only point. That's always been my point. Same thing with Kaepernick. You're sitting here going, and those are perfect examples. I think why I love what's going on with Cam in this case is that, just like Seattle, when this whole pistol offense was going full blown, 4 quarterbacks in this case were making the big push.
Right, and who do they happen to be? What color?
Right. Well, that's fine in this case here, but the 4 of them, well, just in case we weren't keeping track at home, Cam, Russell Wilson, RG3, and Kaepernick. Now, 2 sets of coaches got scared when defensive ends and linemen started saying, "Oh, we're gonna crack them, we're gonna do this and that," and the coaches for these particular organizations got scared. So what they start doing? They started changing up offenses, start messing around with folks' heads. We've had these discussions for years discussing this. They mess up RG3's head to some extent, and they mess up Kaepernick in this case. Right.
You didn't try to tailor your offense to his
strengths. Right, his strengths. So my mindset is I run old school Detroit Pistons, man. I run the same play till you stop it. Right. And until you stop it, don't tell me anything else. I don't want to hear from you. Because if Clay Matthews wants to do it, I'm going to yap about how they're going to crack Kaepernick. I say all you're seeing is the back of my jersey when I'm running for 200 yards on you every time. Right. You have to do something about it. The 2 teams that did not worry about that, go figure, Seattle and North Carolina. We're running our stuff. I don't care what you say. We're running our stuff.
Because we're tailoring it to
QB. And just like how I thought in the case, if they had let the other 2 mature the same way, they got the comfort zone, and all of a sudden now people are like, well, how Russell Wilson's almost throwing for 500 yards, all sorts of stuff. Because in this case, they let the man get his comfort zone and let him grow at his own pace. Right. Same thing with Newton. It's like, Newton's more of a pocket passer than anything else than ever before. Yeah. But they let him groom himself. He still runs when he needs to, but it's not the first option. It's not even the second option. So they've done that with the other 2. Who knows where they could have been in their progressions? What I'm saying, but in this case here, the coaches messed them up. In this case, the mindset of like, okay, we're scared, protect our quarterback. Fair enough, but you gotta run your stuff. If that's the case, man, do what's best for your team, your franchise, and what's the strength of your players. But let's as far as Cam and this stuff goes. Cam is unrepenting who he is. And I think when I come to Brassers going back to it, that's what it is when I refer to that. And I think that's the part in this case that has always rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I say in this case, a lot of mainstream folks and media folks, and unfortunately, a certain set of the white public in this case here. I'm not saying all of it, but some of it in this case here, it rubs the wrong way. And I think that's, be it for the time you go at the Muhammad Ali. Everybody talk, Muhammad Ali is loved so much now. Go back to Muhammad Ali in the 50s and 60s and see what you think about the 60s and see what you said about Ali then, right? So, so I think it's one of these things where you just see it go down the line. Even, we go somewhat Dion. Dion's beloved now. Dion could be staying from college. Like, so,
Dion wasn't hated. He was despised in the major league.
Right.
My goodness.
So, all this thing now, so I think it's one of these things where it's like, once he retires, like, yeah, he's an all right guy. So it's one of these things where it's like, and to be honest with you, Cam is no near as defiant or flamboyant as any of those two guys I just mentioned.
True, that's true.
And yet, here we are. Now maybe it's part of the position of quarterback. Maybe that's it. That is also part of the thing that you're supposed to be deemed a certain way as quarterback, which I think is a bunch of Hueys.
A bunch of malarkey.
Because a bunch of stuff I see in this case,
the quarterback
Brady
is not always the leader of the team,
or Aaron Rodgers or other dudes do in this case, pumping fists and and jawing up and stuff like that. Like really, it's like. I mean, I said before, I got no issue with Cam for the most part. But, I said before, if you got issue with the dancing, you got issue with the dancing. I ain't got no issue with that.
Stop him from getting in the end zone.
But I agree with that. Stop him from getting in the end zone. Like, this whole thing about I mean, we discussed it offline. It's very similar to the PK Subban situation.
Come on, man.
It's almost identical, right? If you don't want the guy celebrating scoring goals, stop him from scoring goals in this case here.
Stop him from scoring goals. The thing that we spoke about, which is cool because what's making PK, I think, attractive in the NHL is that him and Corey Joseph. What's the netminder? Price, Carey Price, best goalie in the NHL who's been hurt mostly all year anyway this year. But nonetheless, what were they doing that was really cool? I thought was they were dapping each other at the end of the games when they won.
Right.
When they won amongst themselves.
Right.
Then it came up with Tellyan, the coach, being ignorant, saying that they're disrespecting the game. This is their head coach on their team saying that they don't want him to do that.
Oh gosh!
But I'm thinking, but then what am I seeing? I don't even watch a lot of hockey highlights these days, but I'm seeing guys doing the Cam Newton dap after they score goals.
Right. I mean, this is before. I mean, we were talking about the hypocrisy, right? Like Patrick Kane have a whole routine, like it's a theater with red carpet and everything, and all sorts of stuff going on after he scores.
Also talk about Patrick Kane doing all the other little things.
Well, that's a whole other thing when it comes to Well, that was a whole other thing when it comes to double standards. That thing kept quiet. That's quiet. Kept that stuff. Media done a good job of keeping that thing quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if Cam did something like that though,
or even sniff of it. Right, because as I said before, we saw the same thing happen. It was amazing how two athletes from the same city play on different teams. Rose had something comes out on him, and it's a story all across the thing on a claim. It wasn't anything. It didn't even go through no legal thing.
Right.
Kane in this case here has an investigation, a legitimate investigation.
Investigations galore.
Not a word from anybody.
Not a word. And then you're hearing. Remember the stuff with the alleged DNA, the alleged stuff being brought to the girl's house, and then the prosecuting attorney said no, that's not that stuff. Whatever happened to that story?
Guy had a Dougie Gilmore situation going on here.
Oh, father.
Let's leave that alone.
Let's leave that. We don't want to get our hockey brothers up in our
arms. I know.
We get Don Cherry up in our joint here, and he's like, "Hey, that's a good Canadian boy, eh?" Whatever. Anyway, yeah, man. But let's talk about this game because personally, I like the way the Panthers are thinking about this game. Very simply, they're saying they don't give a rat's behind about Peyton Manning.
Right.
And I see a romp.
I see a romp too. I think this is very similar to Seattle game.
Yeah, man.
I can't see him throwing those little dead ducks out there, with Josh Norman and those dudes out there.
But I'm going to say this, though, that injury to Thomas Davis is a big thing.
It is a big thing.
Because Thomas Davis, as much as I love Luke Kuechly, I think he's amazing. I loved him since he came in the league. But Thomas Davis does so much for that team in the middle. And that's where you come after that dude. Because the Broncos defense, God bless them. They played a hell of a game against New England. But they are going to be the thing that's going to have to hold them up. Because if you're getting the ball run at 25, 30 times, plus Cam running the ball
that's the thing. I mean, the Denver decision put a shadow on them.
They better.
I mean, and now all of a sudden, you're dealing with a lot of single coverage all around the thing.
True. But the thing about it is that while saying that, it's still imperative that Ted Ginn at least catch balls.
He's catching right now.
Yeah, I know, but I've seen Ted Ginn drop a lot of balls too.
True, but they figured out a way to win with that too. I mean,
that's the unbelievable thing.
You know, so I mean, the guys are getting open. And I think right now,
because they have they're a big chunk. Remember, they're a big chunk yard.
Yeah, they get like 15, 20 a bite. They're not going like nickel down like New England. They're going deep.
They know how to, because they use the running game so effectively. That alone will get you, and especially at this time of the year, the running game. Oh my gosh! If you have a monster running game, I don't care who your defense is. You get worn down, boss.
Right. 2 points here, folks. Kids at home. There's the reason why when you have a team on the ropes, you crack their net. Because in this case, if Carolina taking care of business against Seattle, Davis might be playing Super Bowl right now.
Think about that.
All right? But no, instead when you fool around with a team and you have to be playing minutes you didn't expect to play, those things are happening. Point number 2 about the game itself. Here's the thing to watch in the trenches. If those two ends, Ware and Miller, do not put their footprints or their imprints on this game.
Not at all.
It's a wrap.
You don't even hear their names at all.
It's a wrap. If that first quarter goes by and you barely hear their names, that's not a good sign. It's a wrap. Because to me, that's the only way I see Denver really kind of keeping this thing competitive.
It has to be close. It has to be close.
That they just wreak havoc like how they do it in New England, those two dudes.
Right.
And keeping it in a game where it's competitive, that they can steal it in the end. But if they're getting no pressure on Cam,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Yeah, it's not even pretty, man. So we'll see how this plays out. I've never been, you know me, DeMarcus Ware. I never considered him to be a big game dude. He played well last week. I give him his due. He came out strong last week. I don't know if he get
Dallas. That's why.
Huh?
He left Dallas, man. That's why.
No, he left Dallas, dude. I still trust him in a big spot, just like I don't trust. Just like Ware. I don't trust P. Manning in a big spot. Never have, never will. It'll be his last game.
Let's just call this thing a day. P. Manning, peace out.
No doubt, man. I think that's it, man. I think your folks are going to see Cam smile a lot more after next Sunday.
He's going to be blackety black.
So we'll see. I think that's about it for this week. I don't know if you got anything else on there, because I mean, I think that's really the talk. It's been, besides the camp stuff, it's been pretty quiet so far. But next week I guess I'll ramp up.
It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks is too long.
I know it's too long, man.
Too long, man. Like, you know what I mean? Because I understand the injuries thing, the whole, the injuries, but 2 weeks, too long.
2 weeks too long. That's how we'll wrap this up. We'll check you all next week, right after the Super Bowl. We'll try to put something together for you guys, man. We'll give our thoughts about it. Maybe halftime show discussion. Who knows, man? We'll check it all out next week, man. See y'all later. Oh yeah, where can the good folks find you?
They can find me at Y Charlotte.
And they can find me at Beyond Locker Room, short for RF. Folks, take care. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.